I gotta do something. No. Thank you. Alright.
Come on, you chicken shit sons of bitches. Trying to gang up on me, huh? You smell like a roasted turkey. This better not hedge open while I'm carrying it. Think you got a shot? Think again.
I'm actually gonna let him break it. Gotta run fast.
Hey, now. This is starting to get a little hairy. I'm still on my feet. You probably regret touching me now, don't you?
Dude, that shield is so handy to hold. I think these are the last zombies.
I don't think this thing's gonna hold them off for long.
Here, let me... I won't have to
That works for me.
Okay. What is that doing in here?
Why don't you go annoy someone else?
I'm the only person that's actually alive except...
All this work had better pay off in our favor. Let me guess. We gotta take it somewhere else.
Yep. Purple. Open that.
What do we have here?
I'm just gonna go over here because I'm gonna do the last.
Specially built to house these eggs.
Wow, another one to recharge my thing. I don't need that.
What the hell is going on with that egg? I'll take this. Only because I don't trust anyone else with it.
Only once. You can get double taps or something like that.
Trap. I'm gonna get mad. There's something inside here.
No, I didn't want that.
Maybe this is a
Gotcha,
start.
gotcha. I didn't want that.
Weeds don't belong. Not here, not there.
Thank you. Well, I can get the fucking soda. Okay, well I gotta kill this Margla.
The bigger they are, the harder it's gonna be any different this time. You're gonna lose again.
Whoa, he was right there. Oh god. Go, 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 go! Oh my god, that's so... I gotta kill him down here. Where's he?
You're gonna punch yourself out, big guy.
That's a really big horde. I don't want the nukes, so stop letting me the nukes. Come on, just hit my back. Oh, this is gonna be really hard.
It's like a doorway.
By this door right here.
Come on, you chicken shit sons of bitches.
Holy crap, that is a lot of zombies that just popped out.
You ain't got no power in your butt. Fight anyone, anywhere.
Where are you going? Oh yeah, in that round I get a max ammo, so it doesn't matter.
There's some purpose to putting it here.
Let me just get this real quick.
What do we have here? Okay, so you got the first hit.
Oh, is that double points? Oh no, that's fire.
Fire sale.
No time to waste. Let's
I
load up.
actually hit.
I shit scarier things than you. Can you believe that just happened? Funny looking gun.
Please give me a good weapon.
Good enough against a few, but more than that, things start getting a little dicey.
Oh dang it! I needed them to break my shield.
You got lucky. You're about to see a comeback.
Let's freaking go! Oh my god. If I have the dingo, the dire wolf, I literally am unstoppable. I get the blast from this. Actually, thank you. Okay. Oh, I gotta go get my egg and then go do the thing, kill the zombos. Open this one.
Weeds don't belong. Not here, not anywhere.
Double points.
Time to cash in.
Max ammo, let's go, bro.
Something inside
Get ray gun. Honestly.
you. You ain't got no power in your punch. Some of the bitches are gonna...
No! Oh. Dang it. Okay, well I gotta go get my perks. But it doesn't matter because I have
Lucky.
good
Won't happen again.
stuff here.
How do we know this stuff isn't poison? Okay, gloves off. What do we have here?
Not taking that. They're gone? Yes.
How do we know this stuff isn't poison?
You said that already, dude. Yeah, I think this
These don't belong. Not here, not anywhere.
gimmick again, I don't want it. Look at my egg.
It's on now. There's something inside here.
Dude, how many times is that gonna give me the haymaker? I honestly don't want it. I already got the orange egg. The arch egg, something like that. It's actually really good against zombies. I'm gonna go get heal kick. I'm not gonna get this. It's honestly trash. Again.
I'm gonna cut that as food.
Okay, here's where I was, you know, but
Well, at least we know they're going to attack.
it's gonna be hard.
Touch me again. I'll kill you slow. Think you got a shot? Think of it. Okay, so you got the first hit.
I didn't get it. I gotta look around.
Free ammo. Where the hell did it come from? That works for me.
Okay, well, I didn't get that. It's kind of surprising. That's like that one, and then this one. Yeah, this.
Why don't you go annoy someone else?
Actually, got it. No. It was fun.
Congratulations. You just pissed me off. You got lucky. You're about to see a comeback. I'm still on my feet. Okay, so you got the...
No! Again, my ray gun is gone. My ray gun is gone.
That was a hell of a counter. It caught me off guard.
Oh my god, now my ray gun's gone and I'm dead. I don't even have enough points to get judged.
You ain't got no power in your punch. I recommend you stay down.
Just that happened. Go back.
I'm gonna come down as a fool.
I gotta go here. And I can't switch weapons because I don't have my other. Oh my god, dude. I'm done.
I'm still on my feet.
You're not.
This gun.
That's honestly just bad. 2 hours worth playing and I still died. Freaking all of that work too.
Through the depths of the Vietnam forest to find the Viet Cong, or escaping the labor camps, or going into the Pentagon to see the president, this campaign was nothing short of captivating. I never found a moment in this campaign where I was bored or I thought something was unnecessary. It had it all. It had the Vietnam conflict, like I said, the Cuban Missile Crisis, there were flashbacks to World War II, there was the Pentagon, there were so many different things. It really just presented you with a storyline face value, and you could just contract it right away. The campaign really stood out and was unique because of the era it was
All
in
the
and
same.
the ideas it was tackling.
It's
So
the same
I think that this
thing.
campaign was honestly a solid 9 out of 10. I am not joking. If you've never played it, you just have to. And if you don't think it deserves a 9 out of 10 and you have played it, well, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you were on fucking Adderall when you were playing it. That was a joke, and now we're gonna move on to the BO2 campaign. The Black Ops 2 campaign is a direct sequel to the Black Ops 1 campaign. Go figure. What's really interesting is that it takes place in 2 different time periods, one in the late 1980s and one in 2025. We see Mason and Hudson return in a mission to rescue Frank Woods from a boat in the middle of some South African river. They are then rescued by Jonas Savimbi, which is a large African man. And then there's this giant douchebag named Raul Menendez, who is the antagonist of the campaign. He has a hatred of the United States because of a lot of things that have gone on in his past, and so he wants to start a Cold War between the US and China. Another great thing about this campaign is that a lot of the characters are fresh in our mind because we saw them in the previous campaign, and we all love them. And then Menendez kills Hudson, manipulates Woods to kill Mason, and then cripples Woods. Just a series of unfortunate events. Now we're in 2025, and Mason's son, named David, is now part of the Navy SEALs. Also, Menendez is still hanging around. He's a leader of a militant populist group called the Cordis Die. Basically, Menendez just wants the world to suffer economically and wants society to...
Are you guys ready? Let's take a selfie. Here we go. Wait.
Move your head towards mine.
My arm's not long enough, you guys.
Get it.
We're leaning on it.
Boys, you gotta back up just a little bit. Back up. Back up. Stay in the frame.
Stay in the frame. Willow, just stay in the frame.
Guess where I am?
Move your arm. We're not gonna both fit. Just move your arm.
Move your arm! Just move over!
Hey, Mitch, could you, scooch in? I'm trying to take a selfie.
Oh, wait, 1 sec. Alright, 3.
Go to shit. So he messes around with the Chinese stock exchange and causes a Cold War between the US and China because of a bunch of other shit. He also attacks Los Angeles using drones. The guy's just a dick. What's fascinating about this campaign is that it is completely non-linear, so the player makes certain decisions which shapes the rest of the story, which ultimately leads to several different endings. This campaign complements the previous one while also adding lots of different unique elements to it. It fits a lot of different people's preferences. People that like to play older Call of Duties will enjoy the older time period of it, and people that like the more futuristic aspect of it will also be able to enjoy that. So it caters to a larger audience. This campaign is 65. Everything is very technologically advanced now, but 8 out of 10. It's not as good as Black Ops 1's campaign, in my opinion, but it's just the tiniest step down. Then there's the Black Ops 3 campaign, which takes place in 2065. Everything is very technologically advanced now, as robots are pretty much running the entire military, and this unfortunate soldier gets both of his arms ripped off and both of his legs broken. You then go through surgery, get bionic arms, and become a super soldier. Then you spend the next hour playing through the campaign thinking that you're actually playing it, but it's all just a virtual simulation as you are training. You are also part of a militant group called the Winslow Accord, which is essentially like the Black Ops soldiers from the other campaigns, but there are women. So here's the problem. I have not played the entirety of the campaign. I've played about 3/4 of it, give or take, and so I want you to take this opinion with a grain of salt, but from what I have played and what I have seen, I would be lying to you if I said I enjoyed this campaign. I just didn't like it much at all. The plot was very confusing in contrast to the campaigns prior to this, and characters play a huge part in this, because if you have characters, playable or not, that you don't give a shit about or you just don't know the names of, like, it's just really something you're not going to enjoy. And the only name I even remember is Hendrix. I know there are going to be people out there that enjoy this campaign and are going to shit on me for this in the comments, but I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10, and 5 is average. But I'm definitely not alone on this, because this was the least completed campaign in Call of Duty history, and this chart says that. So here are the scores thus far. Black Ops 1 is in the lead. It had the best campaign in my opinion. It was the original, and it's really hard to pass the original with a sequel. It really had a direct correlation. It got remade 3 times. That's how fucking good this was. The campaign had many good settings, and the multiplayer maps followed. Summit and Nuketown. Nuketown is probably in everyone's top 3 favorite map. It got remade 3 times. That's how fucking good this was. The campaign had many good settings, and the multiplayer maps followed. A lot of the maps are in Cuba, a lot of them are in Vietnam, and Russia, and Germany, and like all these places, and they're really fucking cool. This multiplayer was very, very good. I don't know if it would make a top 3 of all time, but it is super, super good. I would give it a solid ass 8 out of 10. Black Ops 2 multiplayer was certainly more fast-paced than Black Ops 1. It sort of returned back to that element. The snipers in this game were certainly better, and at one point before it got patched, the DSR was a godly weapon. Like, if you had this thing and you were good with it, there were also some other pretty good weapons, such as the AN-94, the PDW, and so on and so forth. I would say collectively this game had better guns than Black Ops 1, but not by much at all. If you want to talk about classic maps, we'll try out Hijacked, or Raid, or Slums, or any of the others. I don't think this game has any replayability problems, same thing as Black Ops 1. I feel like if you strive to get whatever fucking camos you want, or whatever you want, like, it'll take some time and you'll enjoy it. It also carried on some unique party games, such as, you know, Sticks and Stones, gun game. Kill streaks in this game weren't terrible, other too, it has advanced. I do realize a lot of people out there do not like that, so I will bear that in mind. One thing I noticed about running and the sliding didn't bother me much in this multiplayer, because I still had a really fun time with it, but I do realize a lot of people out there do not like that, so I will bridge. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it seems as though there aren't any overpowered guns besides the Brecci, and if you use this gun unironically in multiplayer, I hope you get hit by a train. Every gun you use has the chance to make you play well, which on paper sounds pretty good, but in all reality, it takes away a lot of the competitiveness, because everything you use just, you know, it doesn't matter really. I find that the majority of the maps are good, not great. Like, you know how in Black Ops 1 and 2, there were just, you know, some pretty shitty ones, some okay ones, and then there were the bangers? Well, in this game, they're all just sort of in the good category, and some of them suck. I would say my favorite in this game is Combine. It was one of the first maps that people got to play in the beta, so it's one of the more classic ones. But even so, there's no punch to that name. It's sort of just like a pretty good map. It's not like a Nuketown. It's very fast-paced, which is really good for some people and really bad for others. The specialists were very controversial. Some people didn't mind them, like me, and a lot of people really didn't like them. And you know what? I'm kind of on a toss-up there, too. One thing this multiplayer has above the others is the replayability. There's a dark dark matter camo that you can go for with all of your guns. It takes a lot of time, and also there's a prestige master where you can get to prestige master level 1000, which takes fucking forever. Plus they're constantly adding new DLC weapons, so you always want to grind for those crypto keys to get those. And that's a perfect segue into my last point, which is going to tear this down just a little bit more, and that is the black market. This is something I cannot ignore when I'm judging this. There are almost as many DLC weapons as there are regular weapons in the black market, which is something that is sort of pay to win, and we all know the black market scandal. It's in the past now, but the amount of money you have to spend in this game to have a better experience is simply disgusting. But I'm gonna give this multiplayer a 7 out of 10. It really isn't amazing, but it's actually pretty fucking good, so I'm not gonna tear it all the way down what it could be like a 5 for some people. I would give it a 7. These are the scores so far, which is the zombies game mode. I am going to completely disregard the storyline for zombies because that is so convoluted and intricate, it would take probably an hour just to scratch the surface of it, really, so I'm not even going to waste your time with that. I am going to judge zombies purely on the gameplay, so keep that in mind. I'm also not going to be talking about the Easter eggs because a lot of people just play casually and don't even care about them to begin with, and I know a lot of people do, but I'm just going to do gameplay here. I guess the best place to start off is maps, and Black Ops 1 has a good variety of them. There are some difficult ones like Shangri-La and 5, and then there are some pretty easy ones like Kino der Toten and Ascension. Like I said earlier, the gun variety in this game is very poor. There are a lot of bad weapons. When you spin the box 9 times out of 10, you're going to get something that you don't want, like maybe a China Lake or a Spectre. But the good thing is there are a lot of good wonder weapons, such as the Thunder Gun, the Wonder Waff. There's also the Baby Maker. They're the Wave Gun. They're also very unique. I mean, you have an explosive sniper rifle as one of them, you know, the Scavenger. There's also the VR-11, which turns zombies into people. I mean, there are just so many different ways to kill them in this game. There are so many innovations in this game, and in almost every map there was a new wonder weapon introduced. There were a lot of different perks introduced, a lot of traps, a lot of characters, a lot of everything, really. One thing I really appreciate in this game is the difficulty. You never see a bad player get to round 30 on Shangri-La or Call of the Dead. You just don't ever see that. And you don't even see bad players get past round 20 typically, because most of the guns are pretty useless after round 25. The wonder weapons drop off eventually, unless it's the Thunder Gun or the Wave Guns, in which case you don't even get max ammos with. There are lots of checks and balances that make sure, hey, it's not too difficult, but don't worry, it's not going to be that easy either, dude. Like I said about multiplayer, this engine just tends to feel a little bit clunkier and slower, which is one of the only complaints I even have about this game. I cannot even rank all of these maps because I couldn't even decide which would be the worst. Could it be 5? Maybe Shangri-La, I don't know, but they're all so perfect to me. But back to the difficulty part, it's really hard to get to a high round, but it's not hard to do simple things like pack-a-punching or finding the box or getting perks. All of that is very simple and very noob-friendly, which is a perfect balance on it. So BO1 Zombies, although you have several flaws, those flaws are, for the most part, pretty manageable, and I would give you an 8 out of 10 easily. It totally split my mind that when you bought the Resurrection Pack, you got the 4 World at War maps too, remastered. I mean, that's also a bonus. So here's the tricky part with Black Ops 2 maps. You have some of the best in zombies. Mob of the Dead, Origins, Buried is pretty good, and then you have literally the worst map ever, Transit. Die Rise is pretty shitty. Nuketown is fun, but really pointless. So when you have some of the worst and the best, they kind of mix together, they compensate for each other, and you got an average map selection. With Black Ops 2 being a sequel, it would naturally become more complex with different buildables. There were tons of different wonder weapons and quests you had to do to get them. There were a few new perks, and there were new characters. This newer, complex zombies would turn away a lot of casual fans that really just enjoy getting around 15 on Kino. That's not really a strong argument, but it does say a lot about the natural progression of the difficulty. It became more difficult to do simple things like getting a weapon or getting a perk or something like that, but it also became a lot easier to get to higher rounds once you got those things, which is the exact opposite of the easy setup and hard to get to a high round on BO1. Just like in the multiplayer, there is a better gun variety overall. There are many good weapons and, a few really shitty ones like the SMR and the War Machine, but those are far and a few. Just like in BO1, there were some really good wonder weapons like the Stabs and the Blundergat, but then there was the Jet Gun, which is probably the worst in all of zombies. The best way to sum up BO2 zombies is best and worst. There are really some of the best things in zombies and some of the worst combined, and it really just comes out to be very similar to Black Ops 1 in the end, which is why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And that brings us to Black Ops 3 Zombies, which, like the multiplayer, has many vast differences than the other two games. The zombies in this game is so storyline driven and so complex to the point where all the 2010 casual school fans are practically gone. All the people that still play are newer, younger, and at least enjoy some degree of the storyline. In order to get the specialist or the wonder weapons or, you know, the majority of things really, you have to go through these long processes, which doesn't bother everybody, but certainly has its drawbacks. Typically in the other two games, you would just spin a box to get a wonder weapon or go through a fairly easy buildable process, but now you have to literally complete multiple steps. For instance, setting up on Zetsubo no Shima is completing half of the Easter egg. That's how integrated it is with the storyline. Speaking of Zetsubo no Shima, that seems to be the one map that people have a problem with. Revelations is a little bit easy, but otherwise, the other four are in my top 10 favorite of all time. The maps may be complex and a little bit difficult for some people, but they are beautifully designed. They're so good to look at aesthetically, and even though I don't like Zetsubo, it is a really well designed map. The wonder weapon selection is much better in this game. You have stuff like the Apophicon Servant, you have the 4 bows from your Eisendrache, you also have, even the KT-4 is probably the worst, but it's probably better than half of the ones in BO2 or BO1. One major problem was the lack of innovation in this game, simply because of one thing, and that's Gobblegum. Gobblegum is the microtransaction, of course, from Dr. Bonnie's factory. You get liquid Vinium to get them, and similarly to the black market, it is a pay to obtain all of the perks in the map within one click of a button just really takes away a lot of the motivation to play it. And having something that makes you literally indestructible for 4 rounds straight is obviously just not a great idea. So not only did it make the game too easy, but it took away the possibility of getting a real perk, such as a Widow's Wine. That was the only thing we got in BO3 that was even remotely interesting. It's also important to note that the zombies are much faster and stronger in this game than they were in the previous 2 games, but you do get 3 hits in this game, which is helpful, and also you get a shield. Double Pack-a-Punch is something that is pretty fun to use, but also breaks the game, because it takes away the value of any box weapon ever, because you can go to the wall, spend 500 on an RK5, upgrade it, get Blast Furnace on it, and that allows you to get to an infinite number of rounds. Also, Gobblegum and the Wonder Weapons make spinning the box in this game pretty much pointless, so in case you haven't caught on, this is what I'm trying to say. It is far too easy. All you have to do is have a double Pack-a-Punch weapon and jug, and really you can get to an infinite number of rounds. But don't forget, there was that DLC 5, that Zombies Chronicles, where we got 8 remastered maps from BO1 and BO2, so we have 14 different maps in this game. In case you thought it was too easy, well, at least you can have an easy time on 14 fucking maps, which in my opinion compensates for so much of the shit I just talked about. You essentially have the entire zombie storyline in one game, except for a few maps, which are mostly irrelevant, except for a few segments of them. And so even though I pointed out more flaws than I did good things about BO3, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because of Zombies Chronicles primarily, but it just feels like a really complete and clean game, except for when a few of the maps launched. Oh fuck, that was a disaster, but you get what I'm trying to say. Black Ops 3 is a really good, solid overall game. Are you guys ready? The winner's decided. If you did the math, you already know who the winner is. If you didn't, well, you're about to be surprised, maybe, because the winner is Black Ops 1, the original. It finished with 25 out of 30 points, BO2 trailing by 1 point. It was 24 out of 30, and then you had BO3 with 21. Of course, BO1 was the base game, and the other 2 were build-offs of it, so it's really hard to compete with that. And also, like I said earlier, the more futuristic it got, the less people enjoyed it. Did I cover everything in this video? Absolutely not. If I wanted to do that, I would be sitting here for a long, long time.
Our pets are just like us. Why would we feed them any differently? Wholehearted. Exclusively at Petco.
You've done it again! Welcome back to a brand... We are going to be going AFK. I am very, very tempted to start up some Battle Royale videos. I've got some really good ideas, so hopefully in the future, maybe we'll see some. We're obviously pulling up close to 500,000.
Swing at you.
I had to swing him? Wait, who's the other dude?
You
Oh, this dude.
trade?
Yeah, mate.
Okay. Oh, okay.
The video! Grab me in the video!
Where we
Grab
going?
me in the video!
Right, so this is his home base.
Trade.
Which box you taking me?
Hey, I wanna be in the video!
Why did you get that there?
No, like.
Host, buddy.
Oh, you need that.
Oh, hey! I didn't even notice that you. Hey!
You have it, so.
Look at chat.